Some might say the type of lesbian you are depends on the clothes you wear, while others will say the queer hobbies you have define you, or maybe it's how you wear your hair. But personally, I think if you really want insight on a lesbian psyche, look at their favorite queer artists. Is it Renee Rapp, Cat's Eye, or Kehlani? Or maybe it's the one who walked so these icons could run. Whoever it is says a lot about you and your interests, which is why I'm confident that I can recommend you not one, but two sapphic books you'll enjoy reading based on your favorite lesbian or queer artist. And although no one asked, I want to say that I feel qualified to do this because I'm chronically online, a lesbian, but more specifically a lesbian who listens to queer music, and I've read 42 sapphic books and counting. So I'll be recommending books from several genres such as romance, poetry, fantasy, and contemporary fiction, with most being adult books, but not all. So hopefully there is a book for you. Let's get into it. Up first, we have someone who might come off as hardcore, but is really a lover girl. I mean, she had the clothes folded, y'all. It's Kehlani. And when it comes to them, I think of someone who's not afraid to express their feelings and be truly vulnerable. And her music in general makes you believe in love, even if it's messy. So the first book recommendation I have for Kehlani fans is Say It Hurts, which is a poetry book that reads almost like a diary for the main character. It covers themes of queerness, masculinity, and loving and losing. And if you turned out gay but were raised in the church, I think you'll find something to enjoy from this. And even if you aren't a big reader, this is a good choice for you because it's short, and I mean only 89 pages short. And at any given moment, you can open a random page, read the poem, and likely feel something. For example, here's one that stuck with me. When we played it at a sleepover, Jackie's house, 5th grade, it worked. 5 girls held me up to the ceiling in the foyer with only their pointer and middle fingers. Our hands, so lesbian, all of our ring fingers longer than our indexes. Some of us knew what lesbians were then, but didn't know the finger thing. No one accused me of admiring, of looking, of loving, of anything. I put on my pajamas in the bathroom, tried not to notice anyone's bra, stayed in my own sleeping bag. I had heard the name Matthew Shepard. When you are queer, there is always violence. I always think violence, intrusive as acne then. I was in love with Liz that year. No, maybe it was Alyssa. When a lesbian writes a poem, it's a lesbian poem. Now, my second recommendation is Once Ghosted, Twice Shy, which is a second chance romance. Of course, the first time these two tried finding love with each other, one ended up heartbroken but never actually got closure. And the reasoning behind that first heartache finally comes out the second time around. And it's one of those books that makes you not want to take things personal because you never know what someone is going through. The setting takes place in New York, and several parts of this story really make you feel like you are touring the city yourself, which was a nice touch. And it has a non-linear narrative if that's something you enjoy. Now, the next artist is our favorite mean girl. No, not that one, but Renee Rapp, who some might say needs media training, but that's neither here nor there. Renee is going to say whatever is on her mind, and she does not care who is listening. Now, y'all know that line in her song where she says, "It's not my fault you're like in love with me"? That line reminds me of 2 books. The first is Clique Cute, which is a rivals to friends with benefits to lovers situation. Of course, they play for the same team figuratively and literally, but things get a bit messy, and all of a sudden there's a locker room scene and you're hooked. Now, I promise this book had more value than just that, as there's some autism and ADHD rep as well, but if you're someone who wants more of the hot, then Will It Hurt is the book for you. It's the story of a vampire and a witch who end up needing each other in more ways than one, even though on a day-to-day basis, witches and vampires in their worlds are not even friends. I will say definitely read the trigger warnings on this one, as a huge part of the plot is based on a sensitive topic, but if you like your romances to have more going on than just a love story, this would be a good read for you. But did someone say they were in the mood for boba tea? Now look, I'm not about to argue with y'all. 3 of the 6 members are queer, so... And I fear that song did have me in a chokehold. The Apple Music rap does not lie. I'm actually kind of embarrassed. I don't know how this was my most played song of the year, but moving on. For fans of the iconic group Cat's Eye, I have 2 different types of book recs. So the first is called The After Party. It's a women's fiction mixed with a murder mystery with a little bit of dating around on the side too. Our 3 main characters all work at the same job but wouldn't call themselves more than co-workers really, until this one particular after party they have. So as it goes, they are at a boring work function, decide to ditch and have their own after party where they all bond about the hatred they have for their boss, just for him to wake up the next morning dead. So who did it? And as far as our sapphic rep goes, one of the main characters is a stud. But if this book isn't calling your name, then maybe you prefer femme like her. And this reminds me of Cat's Eye because... Need me to explain it? No? Are you sure? No, really, it's not a big deal. Let me break this down for y'all. So when a femme likes... So Femme Like Her is about this girl who normally dates studs but has this one femme from her past who seems adamant about no longer being in the past. And listen, y'all, just read it. I've read 7 books from this author. You can't go wrong. Moving on to our electric lady who is in her age of pleasure, it's my favorite, Janelle Monáe, which if you are not a fan of, go ahead and watch these 2 music videos and thank me later. So for fans of their music, I would recommend An Island Princess Starts a Scandal, a book so good that after reading it on Kindle, I had to buy a hard copy. It's a historical romance that takes place in the late 1800s in Paris, which had a lively yet very underground sapphic scene. And very soon, her family is having her marry a man she could care less for, but she meets this duchess who wants something from her. But to get it, she decides she wants the Duchess to show her how lesbians live in Paris, and well, shit gets messy. Historical romance is one of my fave genres because it reminds us that lesbians have always existed, and I love when stories can show us the lives of those who came before us in a real way. And this author does her research and integrates real-life history into her books, so I promise this is worth a read. But if you prefer your books to take place in present day, then I would recommend Leather, Lace, and Locks. It's 3 friends finding sapphic love in their own ways. So one becomes a dominatrix and falls for one of her clients, mixing business with pleasure. Another owns a beauty salon and meets her person there. And the third friend gets into burlesque dancing and finds not 1, but 2 people she has space for. So there's definitely something for everyone in this book. Now here is someone who went from writing songs in detention and drinking lemonade to stealing kisses from your missus. I mean, honestly, if you're a lesbian who hasn't heard of this song, I would be quite surprised. But for fans of Hayley Kiyoko, I obviously have to recommend Girls Like Girls, which is her book based on her hit song. Unfortunately, I haven't read it as I normally prefer adult reads, but it's about these 2 high school classmates who fall for each other. But a YA book I have read and would recommend for fans of Hayley is She Drives Me Crazy. And this book was actually the first sapphic book I read as an adult. I knew I wanted to get back into reading, so I was browsing Barnes & Noble and saw an interracial sapphic couple on the cover, and it seemed like a sports romance. Instantly went to check out. And the book was so cute. It was everything I needed at the time. Hayley Kiyoko is one of those artists I feel like most of us listened to during our exploring our identities era, or maybe when we were younger, which is why I feel like I recommend YA books for fans of hers. But if you're looking for more adult romances, I have a video coming out in February for that. On to our 7th artist, I want everyone to make sure they call her hot, not pretty. It's Chapel Roan, who had lesbians across the country hot to go during Pride 2 years ago. It was wild, y'all. I was actually there, and I mean, I would call it the lesbian version of the YMCA song. For fans of her, I have 2 romance recommendations. First is Count Your Lucky Stars. It's a second chance romance, and it just so happens that one of them needs a place to stay. So why not be neighborly and open your doors to your ex situationship? What could go wrong, right? Good luck, babe. The second romance is The Dating Countdown, which premise had me counting down the days till it was released. So Maxine and Remy have history, as Remy is the only woman Maxine has ever messed with. But this time around, they are trying to prove that their relationship can be more than just sex. So they decide to go on 10 friendship dates, but if they cross any lines, then the date counter goes back down to 1. And if that keeps happening, are they really good for each other? I'm sad, y'all. I mean, I've already read the book, but I'm sad again. Now our final artist, some might call a traitor, but really she's just a girl who spends time at the train station fantasizing about girls. Relatable, right? It's Kat Burns. Now, on the topic of her being a traitor on the reality show, I suggest reading Cinderella is Dead. It's a young adult fantasy book, and it's a retelling of Cinderella, though it's been 200 years since Cinderella found love, and all the young girls in town are required to attend the ball where men get to choose them out of a lineup, and women have no say. So instead of doing this, our main character runs away because she doesn't want to find a prince, y'all. She wants a princess, and she finds her, but she also finds time to dismantle the whole kingdom and burn it and all its fucked up ideologies to the ground. Good read. On another note, the Secret Crush book club feels like a Kat Burns song in a cozy romantic way. It's a small town romance where a single mom and a librarian end up falling for each other. I mean, how much cozier can you get? I hope y'all enjoyed all these sapphic book recommendations, and please go support these authors who give us much needed lesbian and queer representation in their books.